What if everything you thought you knew about women was wrong? Not slightly off, not a little mistaken, but completely, fundamentally, dangerously wrong. Most men walk through life believing they understand women. They think attraction is about looks. They think love is about being nice. They think relationships are about giving her what she asks for. And then they wonder why she loses interest, why she chooses someone else, why she says one thing but does another. Robert Greene wrote in The Art of Seduction that the greatest seducers in history understood something ordinary men never grasp. Women do not experience the world the way men do. Their psychology operates on different rules, different triggers, different needs. And the man who fails to understand this will forever be confused by female behavior. Today, I am going to share with you mind-blowing facts about female psychology that most men will never hear. Not because these facts are hidden, but because most men are too proud to learn, too stubborn to admit they do not understand, too afraid to look beneath the surface. But you are different. You are here because you want the truth, even if the truth is uncomfortable. Carl Jung said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Most men avoid facing the truth about women because it would force them to change. It would force them to admit their approach has been wrong. It would force them to grow. So let me ask you a question before we begin. Are you ready to have your beliefs challenged? Are you ready to see women in a completely new way? Are you ready to understand things that will change every interaction you have from this moment forward? If yes, then stay until the end, because what you are about to learn cannot be unlearned. Let us start with the first mind-blowing fact. Women are not attracted to what men think they are attracted to. Ask any man what attracts women, and he will say looks, money, status. He will say nice cars and big muscles. He will say success and fame. And he will be partially right, but mostly wrong. Sigmund Freud spent his entire career studying human desire, and he discovered something that shocked the scientific world. Attraction is not logical. It is not rational. It does not follow the rules we think it follows. Attraction happens in the unconscious mind, in the parts of the brain we cannot see or control. A woman can meet a rich, handsome man and feel nothing. She can meet an average-looking man with no money and feel her heart race. She cannot explain why. She does not choose this response. It simply happens. This is the first thing most men get wrong. They try to attract women through logic. They list their accomplishments. They show off their possessions. They build a resume of reasons why she should like them. But attraction does not work like a job interview. You cannot convince a woman to feel desire. You can only trigger it. And the triggers are not what you think. Arthur Schopenhauer wrote that we do not want something because we find reasons for it. We find reasons for it because we want it. This means her desire comes first. The reasons come after. She feels attracted. Then her mind creates explanations for the attraction. This is why a woman will date a man who has nothing on paper. Then give reasons like, he makes me laugh, or he understands me. The reasons are real to her. But they came after the feeling, not before. The practical lesson is this. Stop trying to convince women to like you. Start learning to trigger attraction at the unconscious level. Here is the second mind-blowing fact. Women communicate in a language most men do not speak. Men communicate with words, direct, logical, literal. When a man says something, he usually means exactly what he said. If he is hungry, he says he is hungry. If he is angry, he says he is angry. Simple. Women communicate differently. Their language has layers, subtext, hidden meaning. What she says and what she means are often two different things, not because she is lying, but because female communication evolved for a different purpose. Niccolo Machiavelli observed that everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Women are masters of this principle. They manage perception. They communicate indirectly. They test before they trust. When a woman asks if you think her friend is pretty, she is not asking about her friend. She is asking about herself, about your loyalty, about whether you can be trusted. The question has layers that most men miss completely. When she says nothing is wrong, something is almost always wrong. But she wants you to notice without being told. She wants you to read her, to understand without explanation. This is not a game. This is how female communication works. Robert Greene calls this the art of indirect communication. He explains that women grew up in social environments where direct confrontation was dangerous, where survival meant reading social cues, where saying things directly could create conflict. So they evolved to communicate through hints, through tone, through body language, through what they do not say. The man who takes everything literally will always be confused. The man who learns to read between the lines will understand women in ways others never will. Here is the third truth that begins our journey. A woman's attraction is not fixed. It rises and falls based on your behavior. Most men believe that once a woman likes you, she will always like you, or that once she rejects you, it is over forever. Both beliefs are wrong. Jordan Peterson teaches that you are not the same person you were a year ago. You are not even the same person you were yesterday. You are constantly changing, and so is her attraction to you. Every interaction is a new test. Every moment together either builds attraction or destroys it. There is no neutral, no standing still. You are always moving up or down in her eyes. This is terrifying for men who want certainty, but liberating for men who want growth. Now that you understand the foundation, let us go deeper, into the hidden forces that drive female emotion, into the psychology that controls her feelings without her even knowing. Most men see a woman's emotions as random, unpredictable, chaotic. One moment she is happy. The next she is upset. One day she is warm. The next she is distant. And he stands there confused, wondering what he did wrong. But female emotion is not random. It follows patterns. It responds to triggers. It operates according to rules that have been studied for centuries by the greatest minds in psychology and philosophy. Carl Jung wrote that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When a woman's emotions confuse you, it is not her fault. It is a gap in your understanding. And today, we close that gap. Here is mind-blowing fact number 4. Women feel first and think second. This is not an insult. This is biology. And understanding it changes everything. The male brain is wired to analyze before reacting. He sees a problem. He thinks about solutions. He chooses the logical path. Emotion comes later, if at all. The female brain operates differently. She experiences the emotion first. The feeling floods her body before her logical mind can process what is happening. Then, after the emotion, her brain searches for reasons and explanations. Sigmund Freud discovered that much of human behavior is driven by unconscious forces, feelings that arise from depths we cannot access through logic. Women are more connected to this unconscious realm. They feel things men do not feel. They sense things men cannot sense. They know things without knowing how they know. This is why asking a woman, "Why are you upset?" often makes things worse. She may not know why. The feeling came first. The explanation has not arrived yet. And your demand for logic feels like an attack on her experience. Arthur Schopenhauer understood this when he wrote that the heart has reasons that reason does not understand. A woman's emotional responses are valid even when they do not make logical sense. The man who accepts this stops fighting her emotions and starts working with them. The practical application is powerful. When she is emotional, do not demand explanations. Do not argue with her feelings. Simply be present. Acknowledge what she feels without needing to fix it. This makes her feel understood, and feeling understood is more valuable to her than any solution you could offer. Here is mind-blowing fact number 5. Women are constantly testing you, and they cannot stop. This sounds paranoid. It sounds exhausting, but it is true. And once you understand why, you will never see female behavior the same way. Robert Greene explains in The Art of Seduction that trust is not given freely. It must be earned, and women have evolved sophisticated methods for testing whether a man can be trusted. These tests are not conscious. She does not wake up and plan ways to challenge you. The tests arise naturally from her psychology, from thousands of years of evolution that taught women one brutal lesson. Choosing the wrong man could mean death. Think about it. Throughout human history, a woman's survival depended on her ability to choose trustworthy partners, a man who would protect her, provide for her, stay loyal to her. A mistaken judgment could be fatal, not just for her, but for her children. So women evolved testing mechanisms, ways to probe a man's character before committing, ways to see if he is truly strong or just pretending, ways to discover his weaknesses before those weaknesses could harm her. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote that men are so simple and yield so readily to the desires of the moment that he who will trick will always find another who will suffer to be tricked. Women test because they must identify the tricksters, the pretenders, the men who seem strong but crumble under pressure. Common tests include creating small conflicts to see how you respond, showing up late to see if you get angry, flirting with others to see if you become jealous, saying something provocative to see if you lose your composure, pulling back affection to see if you chase desperately. Each test reveals your character. Pass, and her attraction grows. Fail, and it drops. Simple. The man who gets angry at tests has already failed. The man who understands tests responds with calm, amused confidence. He knows what is happening. He is not threatened by it. And this response itself demonstrates the strength she was testing for. Here is mind-blowing fact number 6. What a woman says she wants and what actually attracts her are often completely different. This is not deception. This is psychology, and it confuses nearly every man alive. Ask a woman what she wants in a partner. She will say kind, caring, good listener, sensitive, supportive. These are genuine desires. She is not lying. But these qualities alone do not create attraction. They create comfort. They create friendship. They do not create desire. Jordan Peterson has spoken extensively about this gap. He notes that women often describe qualities that make a good long-term partner: stability, reliability, kindness. But the qualities that trigger raw attraction are different: confidence, dominance, unpredictability, strength. This creates a paradox that destroys average men. He hears what she says she wants. He becomes exactly that: nice, kind, supportive, available. And then he watches her choose someone who is none of those things. He feels betrayed. He thinks women are liars. But he simply misunderstood the game. Plato wrote about this division in human nature. The rational part of the soul wants what is good for us. The spirited part wants what excites us. These two parts often disagree. A woman can rationally want a nice man, while being emotionally drawn to a challenging one. The solution is not to become unkind. It is to understand that kindness alone is not enough. You must also trigger the emotional responses that create attraction. Safety plus excitement. Stability plus unpredictability. Kindness plus strength. The man who offers only one side will always lose to the man who offers both. We have covered how women feel and how they test. Now we enter the core of female psychology, the mechanisms of attraction itself. What actually makes a woman want a man? Not what she says, not what movies tell you, but what actually happens in her mind when desire ignites. Most men stumble through attraction blindly. They get lucky sometimes. They fail most times, and they never understand why. But attraction is not luck. It is psychology. It follows rules. And the man who masters these rules gains an advantage that others will never have. Robert Greene wrote that seduction is a game of psychology, not beauty. The person who understands the psychology can win regardless of their physical attributes. The person who ignores psychology will lose even with every external advantage. Here is mind-blowing fact number 7. Women are attracted to emotional range, not emotional flatness. Most men believe they should hide their emotions, be stoic, be unreadable, never show weakness, never show too much excitement, stay flat, stay neutral, stay safe. This is a mistake. Carl Jung explained that the psyche requires contrast to remain engaged. Light means nothing without darkness. Joy means nothing without sorrow. A man who is always the same becomes invisible, predictable, boring. His emotional flatness puts her to sleep. The attractive man has range. He can be serious and playful, intense and relaxed, focused and spontaneous. He moves between emotional states with confidence. He is not trapped in one mode. This does not mean being unstable. There is a difference between emotional range and emotional chaos. The chaotic man is controlled by his emotions. They throw him around like a ship in a storm. The man with range controls his emotions. He chooses when to show intensity. He chooses when to pull back. He is the captain of his internal world. Sigmund Freud understood that humans are drawn to complexity. Simple things bore us quickly. Complex things keep us engaged. When a woman cannot fully predict your emotional state, her mind stays active. She watches, she wonders, she invests attention trying to understand you. The practical application is this: stop being one note. If you are always serious, learn to play. If you are always joking, learn to be intense. Expand your emotional vocabulary. Give her a full experience, not a flat line. Here is mind-blowing fact number 8. Preselection is one of the most powerful attraction triggers that exists. Preselection means that women are more attracted to men who are desired by other women. This sounds shallow. It sounds unfair, but it is deeply rooted in evolutionary psychology. Robert Greene describes this as social proof in the art of seduction. When a woman sees that other women want you, her brain receives a powerful signal. Other women have evaluated this man and found him worthy. He must have value. He must have qualities I should pay attention to. This is not vanity. This is efficiency. Women cannot fully evaluate every man they meet. It would take too much time, too much energy, so they use shortcuts. And one of the most powerful shortcuts is watching how other women respond to you. Thomas Hobbes wrote about how humans constantly compare themselves to others to determine value. We do not judge things in isolation. We judge them relative to how others judge them. A painting in a famous museum seems more valuable than the same painting in a garage sale. The painting is identical. The context changes everything. This is why a man with no female attention struggles to attract women, and a man with female attention attracts even more. The rich get richer. The popular get more popular. It seems unfair, but it is human nature. The practical application is not to manipulate. It is to genuinely build social connections. Have female friends. Be comfortable around women. Let her see that other women enjoy your company. This triggers pre-selection naturally, without games or tricks. Here is mind-blowing fact number 9. Women are attracted to men who are slightly out of reach. This is the psychology of scarcity, and it affects women just as powerfully as it affects men. Arthur Schopenhauer observed that we desire what we do not possess. The moment we possess something completely, desire begins to fade. This is the tragedy of human wanting. Satisfaction kills the very desire that created it. When you are completely available, completely attainable, completely within her grasp, something strange happens. Her interest decreases, not because you did anything wrong, but because the chase is over. The mystery is solved. The challenge is gone. Robert Greene calls this the art of strategic withdrawal. He writes that absence and restraint create fascination. The person who is always present becomes furniture. The person who sometimes disappears becomes interesting. This does not mean playing games. It does not mean being cruel or cold. It means having a full life that sometimes takes your attention elsewhere. It means being present when you are with her, but not being available every moment of every day. It means maintaining your own identity rather than merging completely into the relationship. Nietzsche wrote that the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. In relationships, this means maintaining your individuality, your goals, your interests, your separate existence. When you dissolve completely into her world, you lose the very qualities that attracted her. The practical application is balance. Be present and engaged when you are together, but maintain your own life, your own purpose, your own direction. Let there be space between you. Space creates longing. Longing creates desire. Desire creates attraction. Epictetus taught that we should focus only on what we can control. You cannot control whether she desires you, but you can control whether you maintain your own life and purpose. And ironically, maintaining that independence is precisely what keeps her desire alive. Now, we enter territory most men fear to explore. The secrets of female desire. The hidden forces that make a woman crave a man at her deepest level. This is not comfortable knowledge, but it is essential knowledge. And the man who understands this will never see relationships the same way again. Robert Greene wrote that desire is both imitative and competitive. We want what others want, and we want what seems just beyond our reach. This principle shapes everything in female attraction. Everything. Here is mind-blowing fact number 10. Women desire dominance, but not the kind most men think. When men hear the word dominance, they imagine aggression, control, force. They picture a man who commands and demands, who raises his voice, who intimidates. This is not what women desire. This is what women fear. True dominance is something entirely different. It is self-mastery. It is direction. It is the quiet confidence of a man who knows exactly who he is and where he is going. A man who does not need to prove his power because his power is obvious. Jordan Peterson explains this distinction clearly. He teaches that competence hierarchies exist in every area of life. The men at the top of these hierarchies did not get there through aggression. They got there through skill, through discipline, through mastery. And this competence is deeply attractive to women. Carl Jung called this the fully individuated man. A man who has integrated all parts of himself, his light and his shadow, his strength and his vulnerability, his ambition and his peace. This man does not need external validation. He is complete within himself, and this completeness radiates outward. Marcus Aurelius wrote that he who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. When your inner world is ordered, your outer world reflects it. Women sense this harmony. They feel safe with a man who has conquered himself, because a man who cannot master himself will eventually lose control. And that loss of control puts everyone around him at risk. The practical application is profound. Stop trying to dominate others. Start dominating yourself, your fears, your impulses, your laziness, your excuses. When you become the master of your internal world, external dominance becomes unnecessary. Your presence alone communicates power. Here is mind-blowing fact number 11. Women experience attraction through narrative, not logic. Men think in facts, data, cause and effect. They build attraction through a checklist. Good job, check. Nice car, check. Works out, check. They expect women to evaluate these facts and conclude that attraction should follow. But women experience attraction through story, through emotion, through the feeling of being swept into something larger than themselves. Plato understood the power of narrative. He wrote that those who tell stories rule society. Stories bypass the logical mind and speak directly to the emotions. They create identification, investment, desire. The man who can make a woman feel like she is part of an exciting story triggers something logic never could. Robert Greene calls this the ability to create dramatic effects. He writes that the seducer understands that life is theater. Every interaction is a scene. Every date is a chapter. The boring man delivers facts. The fascinating man creates experiences. Think about the men women become obsessed with. They are never the safe, predictable option. They are the adventure, the mystery, the story she cannot stop thinking about. She does not analyze why she is attracted. She simply feels pulled into the narrative he creates. Sigmund Freud observed that humans live more in fantasy than in reality. Our inner world of imagination, hope, and desire shapes our experience more than external facts ever could. The man who understands this speaks to her inner world. He creates fantasy. He builds anticipation. He makes her feel like something magical is unfolding. The practical application is to stop listing your qualities and start creating experiences. Make each interaction feel like a scene from a film she wants to be in. Add mystery. Add tension. Add moments of unexpected depth. Give her a story worth telling her friends. Here is mind-blowing fact number 12. Women bond through emotional intensity, not time. Most men believe that attraction builds slowly, that you must spend weeks, months, years earning a woman's heart. That consistency over time creates love. This is partially true, but it misses something crucial. A woman can bond more deeply in 1 hour of emotional intensity than in 6 months of pleasant conversation. Time matters less than depth. Quantity matters less than quality. The man who creates profound moments wins over the man who simply shows up repeatedly. Arthur Schopenhauer wrote that the two enemies of human happiness are pain and boredom. Most men offer safety from pain, but deliver boredom in its place. They are pleasant, but forgettable. Comfortable, but uninspiring. They wonder why she leaves them for someone who seems objectively worse. She leaves because the other man made her feel alive. He created peaks and valleys. He took her to emotional heights she had never experienced, and those heights bonded her to him in ways that calm, steady presence never could. Nietzsche understood this when he wrote that one must have chaos within to give birth to a dancing star. Perfect order is sterile. Perfect calm is boring. The man who can create controlled chaos, emotional adventures that feel thrilling but safe, captures something deep within the female psyche. The practical application is to create moments of intensity, deep conversations that go beyond surface small talk, adventures that push past comfort zones, vulnerability that shows your authentic self, conflict that resolves into deeper understanding. These moments create bonds that years of casual dating cannot match. Epictetus taught that it is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. Emotional intensity is not about external drama. It is about internal depth. The man who feels deeply and expresses authentically creates intensity naturally. He does not manufacture drama. He simply lives with full engagement. We have explored how women feel, how they test, what attracts them, and what they desire. Now we enter the final frontier of female psychology. The question every man eventually asks: what makes a woman commit? What transforms attraction into devotion? What turns interest into investment? Most men believe commitment is about time. Date her long enough, and she will commit. Others believe it is about grand gestures. Buy her enough gifts, and she will commit. Both are wrong. Commitment follows psychological rules that have nothing to do with time or money. Robert Greene wrote that people are more attached to what they have worked for than what they have been given. This single principle explains more about female commitment than any other. It is not what you give her that creates devotion. It is what she invests in you. Here is mind-blowing fact number 13. Women commit to men they have invested in, not men who have invested in them. This sounds backward. It sounds unfair. But it is how the human mind works. Sigmund Freud called this the effort justification principle. When we invest time, energy, emotion, or sacrifice into something, our brain creates attachment to justify the investment. We cannot accept that our effort was wasted, so we convince ourselves that the object of our investment must be valuable. Think about this carefully. The man who gives everything, who chases, who sacrifices, who bends over backward to please her, is actually working against his own interests. Every gift he gives, every chase he initiates, every sacrifice he makes reduces her investment and increases his own. He becomes more attached. She becomes less. The man who inspires her to invest creates the opposite effect. When she cooks for him, she becomes more attached. When she plans dates for him, she becomes more attached. When she makes sacrifices for the relationship, she becomes more attached. Her investment creates her commitment. Arthur Schopenhauer observed that money spent feels more valuable than money saved. The same applies to emotional investment. What she gives to the relationship feels more valuable than what she receives. This is not manipulation. This is psychology. And ignoring it guarantees failure. The practical application is subtle but powerful. Stop trying to buy her commitment with your investment. Create opportunities for her to invest in you. Let her do things for you. Accept her contributions gracefully. Allow her to feel that she has earned your affection through her efforts. This is the foundation of lasting commitment. Here is mind-blowing fact number 14. Women commit to men who have clear life direction, not men who make her their direction. Nothing destroys female commitment faster than a man whose entire purpose is the relationship. A man who has no goals beyond making her happy. A man who has abandoned his dreams to serve her needs. This man becomes suffocating, burdensome, unattractive. Nietzsche wrote that he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Purpose gives a man strength. Direction gives him power. A vision for his life gives him magnetic energy that draws others toward him. Without purpose, he becomes empty, and emptiness cannot sustain attraction. Carl Jung observed that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Many men avoid this acceptance by hiding in relationships. They make a woman their identity, their reason for existing, their escape from the hard work of building a meaningful life. And women sense this evasion. Jordan Peterson speaks often about the importance of responsibility. He argues that meaning comes from taking on burdens that matter, from pursuing goals that challenge you, from building something larger than yourself. The man who does this becomes naturally attractive, not because of what he achieves, but because of who he becomes in the process. The practical application is direct. Have goals that exist independent of any woman. Pursue them with dedication. Let her see that your life has direction with or without her. This is not neglecting the relationship. This is being the kind of man worth committing to. She cannot commit to a man who has nothing to offer except his attention. She commits to a man who is going somewhere and invites her along for the journey. Here is mind-blowing fact number 15. Women commit deeply when they feel both safe and uncertain. This sounds like a contradiction. How can she feel safe and uncertain at the same time? But this paradox is the key to lasting female commitment. Robert Greene calls this the combination of pleasure and pain. He writes that pure pleasure becomes boring, pure pain becomes intolerable. But the mixture of both creates obsession. A relationship that offers complete security becomes stale. A relationship that offers only uncertainty becomes exhausting. The balance creates magic. Marcus Aurelius taught that we should accept what we cannot change and change what we can. In relationships, this translates to providing emotional stability while maintaining personal mystery. She knows you care. She knows you are committed. But she does not know every thought in your head. She does not know exactly what you will do next. She feels safe in your devotion, but uncertain about your depths. Thomas Hobbes understood that humans fear the unknown, but are also drawn to it. We crave security, but too much security puts us to sleep. We fear uncertainty, but uncertainty also thrills us. The master of relationships provides enough security that she feels protected, and enough uncertainty that she stays engaged. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. In relationships, the principle is similar. It is better to be mysterious than predictable if you cannot be both. But the ideal is the combination: loved and mysterious, safe and exciting, predictable in your values, but unpredictable in your expressions. The practical application requires balance. Be consistent in your commitment, but varied in your behavior. Be reliable in your presence, but surprising in your actions. Let her know she has your heart, while wondering what thoughts fill your mind. This balance keeps commitment alive across years, not just months. You have now learned 15 facts about female psychology that most men will never understand. Facts that explain why women feel the way they feel, why they test, why they desire, why they commit. You have knowledge that separates you from the confused masses who stumble through relationships wondering what went wrong. But knowledge without action is worthless. Information without application is entertainment, not education. So let me bring everything together into a framework you can use starting today. Robert Greene wrote that power requires the ability to see the world as it is, not as you wish it were. This is the foundation of everything you have learned. You must see women as they actually are, not as movies portray them, not as society pretends they are, not as your fantasies imagine them, but as complex psychological beings operating according to patterns that can be understood. Carl Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Most men are controlled by forces they do not see. They react to women without understanding. They chase without strategy. They give without receiving. And then they call their failures bad luck. They call their loneliness fate. They blame everything except their own ignorance. You are no longer that man. Let me summarize the core truths. Women feel first and think second. Their emotions are not problems to be solved. They are experiences to be shared. The man who fights her feelings loses. The man who accepts them wins. Women test constantly, not to torture you, but to verify your strength. Every test is an opportunity to demonstrate your value. Pass with calm confidence. Never take offense at her need to feel safe. What women say they want and what triggers attraction are different things. She wants kindness, but kindness alone creates friendship, not desire. Combine kindness with strength. Combine safety with excitement. Become the full package, not half of one. Women are attracted to emotional range. The flat man bores her. The chaotic man scares her. The man with controlled range fascinates her. Expand your emotional vocabulary. Show her your depths. Pre-selection is real and powerful. Women trust the judgment of other women. Build genuine social connections. Let her see that others value your company. This triggers attraction more than any words you could speak. Women want what is slightly out of reach. Complete availability kills desire. Maintain your own life, your own purpose, your own identity. Give her space to miss you, space to wonder, space to long. True dominance is self-mastery, not control over others, but control over yourself, your fears, your impulses, your reactions. When you master yourself, you radiate the power women crave. Women experience attraction through narrative. Stop listing your qualities. Start creating experiences. Make every interaction feel like a chapter in a story she wants to continue. Add mystery. Add depth. Add moments she will remember forever. Women bond through emotional intensity. 1 hour of depth creates more connection than months of surface conversation. Go beyond small talk. Share vulnerably. Create experiences that make her feel truly alive. Women commit to men they invest in. Stop trying to buy commitment through your sacrifices. Create opportunities for her to invest. Let her contributions build her attachment. Her effort creates her devotion. Women commit to men with clear direction. Have a purpose beyond the relationship. Pursue goals that matter to you. Be a man who is going somewhere. Invite her to join your journey, not the other way around. Women commit when they feel safe and uncertain. Provide emotional security through your consistency. Maintain mystery through your depths. Let her know you are committed while keeping her curious about your inner world. Nietzsche wrote that whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. This applies here. Understanding female psychology is not about manipulation, not about games, not about using women for selfish gain. The man who goes that path destroys himself as much as others. This knowledge is about understanding, about connection, about building relationships that satisfy both people, about becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts because he has genuinely developed himself. Not tricks, not masks, but authentic growth that makes you worthy of the women you desire. Epictetus taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. The wise man observes more than he talks. He studies more than he assumes. He learns more than he lectures. Take this attitude into your interactions with women. Watch, listen, learn. Every woman is a unique individual operating within universal patterns. See both the pattern and the person. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Your thoughts about women shape your experience with women. If you see them as enemies to be conquered, you will live in constant battle. If you see them as puzzles to be manipulated, you will live in constant scheming. But if you see them as humans to be understood, you will live in constant discovery. The journey does not end with this video. It begins. You now have a map, but you must walk the territory yourself. Apply what you have learned. Test it in the real world. Refine your understanding through experience. No video, no book, no teacher can give you mastery. Only practice creates mastery. Arthur Schopenhauer wrote that talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. You have now seen targets that were invisible to you before. Patterns that were hidden are now revealed. Psychology that confused you now makes sense. The question is simple. What will you do with this knowledge? The men who watch this video and do nothing will remain where they are, confused, frustrated, alone. The men who watch and apply will transform their relationships, their confidence, their entire experience with women. The choice belongs to you. Welcome to the Shadow Mind.